Yo, what's good? Welcome to episode 8 of the Larry Ohh Show, where we talk about everything FL Studio and music production related. My co-host.
What's going on? It's John Phelps.
And I'm Larry Ohh. And we have a very, very special show again for you. We have a virtual guest. We'll get into that in a minute. But before we get into that, we got the giveaway every single week. If you don't know about the giveaway, we give away a free copy of FL Studio Producer Edition every single Tuesday on the podcast. All you have to do to enter is get the keyword, comment it in the comment section below somewhere in this podcast. I won't forget this time. I set a timer.
You got
it's going to time me. It's going to remind me, and we'll get the keyword this time, and I won't forget. I won't leave it for the end of the episode anymore.
Yeah. Timer's a good idea.
Yeah, it's good. So,
I don't know how we're going to come up with that right away.
I know.
We're learning, bro.
It only took me 8 episodes to think of putting the timer on.
7. 7.
7. With that being said, very, very special guest all the way from the UK, Lauren, a.k.a. LollyPopBeatz.
What's going on?
Thank you for joining us.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining us again. So I know, LollyPopBeatz. What do you like to be called? Lauren, LollyPopBeatz, both, doesn't matter. You have a preference?
I prefer Lauren, but I just accept that people are going to obviously call me by my producer name. So it's cringe, but whatever.
I don't think it
Lauren,
is.
Whatever.
I've been doing some research, and I saw that you don't like the name. Why don't you like the name?
Because it's weird that like rappers and producers are calling me what my mum calls me, what my family call me, which is Lollipop. It's been my nickname. So I didn't know what to call myself. So what else are you going to call yourself other from your childhood nickname? And here we are, and it's too late to change it. I just have to accept it.
I think you have to accept it. And I don't think, you may think it's cringe. You might get a couple of comments. I mean, if you do, saying it's cringe, I think it makes you stand out. I think when people hear the music that you make, and maybe they don't know your name beforehand, maybe if they don't know your name and they hear your music before and they hear, this is like the hardest, darkest, hood stuff I ever heard in my life. This shit is hard, right? And then it's produced by LollyPopBeatz. Now they're intrigued, really intrigued. Who made this? I need to find out who made this stuff. And I'm talking from like a perspective of maybe people that are fans of the artist that don't necessarily know the producers, because I feel like the producer world really knows you. You're heavy on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. So, I mean, I've been thinking about it like that. Like, I think it's intriguing, and you're stuck with it now, so you just kind of, you got to run
Let it roll. Let it roll.
Things that just happen naturally like that, I think you just got to, like, rock with them.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to always ask this question and get it out of the way. Like, how long have you been using FL Studio? Maybe what year did you start? What version did you start on? I'm always curious.
I love this question. I actually checked today because I know you asked that. Sometimes it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the trial version on the last day of 2018. And then I think I just gave up straight away, as you do, because you get overwhelmed. And then I actually bought it, I think the Fruity edition, September 2019. So I was using the trial version for all that time. And, as everyone does, you can't go back to the projects after you, go out of it. So I don't know why I waited that long. Well, I was in school and, wasn't really focusing on beats. But so I'd say officially started summer 2019 going forward, and then start of 2020. I was like, right, I need to really get going now and practice, and, who knows what can come out of this. And then COVID came, so it's kind of like the perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
It's literally all day, every day. And yeah, so it's been like 4 and a bit years now, which is crazy.
Wow. How much do you think your sound has progressed? Did you start, when you first started out, did you think that your sound would be what it is today? Were you going for that sound? Like, how did you get into the sound that you're known for right now?
I was mostly inspired by Southside and Metro Boomin's
I could hear
beats,
that.
So
Yeah, you could definitely hear it.
I love that. So, like, what I loved about, like, the Southside 808 Mafia stuff, which I could tell, like, as a producer head, and I could hear it's like this like, offbeat snare that, like, kicks the whole pattern in the step sequencer off. When I heard that, I was like, I gotta ask. You gotta love the Southside stuff. Okay, so Southside's in there. Is this, like, 2016... Metro. Oh, hell yeah.
So that's like the first kind of artist that I remember listening to was Future. So it's basically all of those beats were produced by Southside and Metro. I was
Amazing.
like, damn, like that made me, I was focusing more on the beats than the songs. I was like, damn, what is this? And then I actually knew about producing through Metro's tag, because I used to look up the lyrics to songs and I was like, what is Metro? You know, so that's how I discovered it. And then I kind of was making anything and everything. I feel like when you start, you don't know what you're making, so it was terrible, like actually terrible. I would just throw in all the different sound effects that you could ever think of, and then it was eventually I decided to start posting Chief Keef type beats on YouTube, because you know, you trying to find the right niche to stick to, because that's what people tell you, stick to one kind of lane. So then I was like, actually I like this evil dark kind of sound, and then it just progressed after I'd done about 900 and something Chief Keef type beats, which was insane. And then now
do you
I
still
feel
have
like
those
it's a
on
bit,
your YouTube channel? All those Chief Keef type and just type beats in general?
Yeah, they're all on my channel.
That's how you started it out. Same channel that you have right now too.
Yeah.
So when you started out, you were like completely just anonymous, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't until, like, I'd say a year ago on Instagram that I hadn't posted any YouTube tutorials or videos or anything until I think it was May last year. So it's been less than a year really, but I started on TikTok showing myself. So yeah, I was completely anonymous. No one knew who I was when I was posting this Chief Keef type beat. So people would DM me like, yo bro, I've just used your beat off YouTube. I'm like, that's funny because I'm not bro. And they'd be like, no way, prove it. And I'm like, I'm not going to send you a picture of me. Like, but no, now I'm like the opposite. I'm not anonymous. Yeah.
So when you heard "Don't Like" by Chief Keef, were you just instantly like hooked? Were you like, I need to make this? This is incredible. Like that was for me when I heard that Young Chop on the beat. I was like, dude, oh my God, there's beats that come out that just change your life.
Yeah, I think it was Love Sosa.
Yeah.
And then Finito was the first ever Chief Keef beat I did. It was inspired by that. And it like people seemed to like it way more than my other beats. I was like, okay, it was my favorite beat that I'd done and people seemed to like it the most. So yeah, it's definitely that I kind of found, okay, this is my style.
Awesome. So what made you like want to like go away from being anonymous? Because you did that for a while. I'm sure you had like some success on YouTube. But what clicked? What changed? Why did you want to go from, all right, I don't want to, I don't want to be seen on socials to, I want to put myself more out there. I'm going to take on whatever comes with it, like that kind of thing. Like what changed maybe, to make you want to do that?
I knew I wanted to do it from the start, but I was kind of scared. A lot of producers don't have much confidence. It's easy to be just a bedroom producer hiding away. But I really, really wanted to work on my beats first and then say, okay, this is me, and put a face to the name, which I think isn't really that essential to begin with. That was my focus, to focus on the beats, see kind of people's reactions without knowing who I am, because that kind of does change things. Well, according to people wanting to use my beat or not, apparently some people have an issue with me.
So some people don't want to use your beats because why?
I've had just comments saying, oh, if I found out she made the beat, I wouldn't use it.
Really?
Or I mean,
insane.
it's mostly coming from TikTok. So I feel like
TikTok's a different animal. TikTok's
a
dark place it can be sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a lot of trolls,
a different breed of people on there.
Are lost.
But I knew from the start that obviously there's not that many females, and that hopefully I wasn't wanting to do it because I proved that I can be successful without showing myself. So the people comment, oh, she's only successful because she's a female, like I grew for 2.5 years a successful type beat channel and had placements before people knew who I was. So I wanted to just have that. And then I was just kind of bored. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. I was kind of bored with the type beats, and I thought I want to be more personal now and actually just grow like more of a strong community. So yeah, starting it on the same channel as my type beats, I was gonna start a separate channel and kind of have them separate, but I thought no, let's just do it all on one channel. And luckily straight away my first video did pretty well.
I love that. I'm a huge fan of that, by the way. When a lot of people ask, or just like, ask me for advice once in a while, like, oh, or I see them and I'm like, yo, why are you starting 2 channels? I think it's your brand. You're not trying to rebrand yourself. It's you know, just keep it under one umbrella. I love that. I love that you had that mentality even beforehand, like going into it, almost like proving yourself and kind of like seeing the future in a way that you don't want to be judged by, you know, your appearance, by the fact that you're a female producer. Like you don't want to be judged going into it, proving yourself like that, and having that, you know, that like wherewithal beforehand to do that is just is awesome.
And
It's
you were
wild
true to
me.
your vision. You know, that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing with any sort of creative pursuit is you have to have a vision. And when you know the trolls find you and you know inevitably like weigh in with their 2 cents, it doesn't even matter because you know what your end goal is and you know the merit of what you offer as a producer. Like you said, I grew this off the strength of my beats for 2 years.
Yep.
I know that my shit is popping, and it is because I was listening on the way here, and I wasn't watching the video. I was just listening.
Yeah.
But I think you talking to the camera and being on the camera, it adds to like the whole quality of it, and it starts to let you build up a stronger community based around you and yourself. You know, not just a type beat channel, but you know.
And I think
amazing,
I
man.
think it's great that you're putting yourself out there in the sense of like there could be other girls wanting to be producers and they can see female producers like yourself and your motivation to them maybe sitting in their bedroom and they maybe not be wanting to start getting into the production game because they know maybe it's a male dominant thing and maybe they're nervous about hopping into that. But you know, there's a good handful of female producers and I think there should be way more. And I think what you're doing and putting yourself out there is a step in that direction, and it's going to change. It is changing the game, and it's going to change the game big time in the future. So I just want to, you know, give you props on that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope there's more. I do see more and more female producers, but again, like I was hiding. You don't know if there could be tons more that are doing the same that I did, just being anonymous. You wouldn't know that they're out there. But I've only seen a couple others do content. You know, I think that's going to push it as well. Just coming slowly into the community, just through content, that's going to really be beneficial and pushing. But I'd like to think that, you know, I mean, I've had some girls say, "Oh, you know, you inspire me to start doing that." And you know, how do you deal with all the comments? And you know, I mean, I still feel like I'm heavily like a bedroom producer. You know, I've only just started doing collabs and getting out there. You know, I'm coming out to the States. I was saying to Larry before. So that's going to be like the first kind of experience in person where I'm like going to be meeting loads of people, and I'm sure I'm going to get, you know, lots of comments and whatever. You know, I'm only used to the online comments, which I can deal with because I'm so locked in. It doesn't matter what you say. You know, I'm just so focused on what I want to do. So
yeah, you got to have a thick skin for this online game, and especially you know, I mean, everybody does. Everybody has to have a thick skin. You know, we all get our fair share of comments, but at the end of the day, I mean, you'll see that in person it doesn't really happen. It's the online where it happens the most. In general, like all of it, you know, it's you'll see that once you start, you know, getting out there in person settings a little bit more. But I wanted to touch on the fact that so when you started out on YouTube, right? This is what I wanted to ask you. When you started on YouTube, you're gearing all your content and all your beats towards other artists. You're looking to, you know, sell your beats to artists, get your beats out there, the type beat thing. When you made that switch and you started putting yourself out there more, you obviously noticed that your audience became and kind of shifted towards the producer community. Did you think that it was going to go in that direction? Did you want it to go in that direction? Or were you like shocked, surprised that it ended up going that way?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always had the idea of starting another channel because I thought it's best to keep stuff separate. And why would all these artists want to start watching me? You know, I'd had a couple comments from artists saying, "Oh, we want to watch you make the beats," but otherwise it's not going to be all of them. So I thought, am I going to lose subscribers? You know, I'll just post maybe one content video a week and then do 6, because I used to post every single day these type beats. I do 6 type beats as well. So it's kind of still doing the 2, but I couldn't keep that up. And I thought, let me just see how it goes posting content. And luckily within, I think, 2 or 3 videos, like that's when I was like, okay, it's going to work. I'm just going to stick to this channel now. And it did literally go from all artists to now all producers who are watching me. So it was a big shift, but it worked way better than I thought it was going to. And basically instantly, which I'm very lucky because basically my first video of me, I think I did a tutorial first, and then my first ever beat making video where I figured out how to use OBS and record my screen, that did crazy well straight away. So literally grew my channel to the fastest that it ever done, you know, even before compared to the type beats. So I thought my channel was growing well with the type beats, but no, it's a whole different kind of growth and reaction, and the just feedback is way better with the content.
Yeah, it helps everything.
Do you stream it all?
No, I've never done. I want to do a YouTube live stream for when I hit 50,000 subscribers.
That would be huge. If you hop on stream and then, you know, start with that piece and then clip everything, that would be like, in my view, like a really solid way to get some, you know, additional, you know, additional content like that. And people would love to see you just do your thing, like tap in, you know, to watch in the chat, drop some dubs in the chat. You know what I mean?
I think it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing to, you know, have the audience look forward to it too, you know, putting that out there. And I think people want to see that process, and you're good at interacting with an audience. So I can see that just, you know, from speaking with you. And
I could watch so many different streams, dude. I was telling my boy this. I was just like, dude, what you're doing right now, because we'll hop on video calls and just do like, you know, some graphic design stuff. And I was like, listen, you should be streaming this right now, because I'm watching and I'm entertained. Yep. And you're just sitting there. It's like ASMR, just hearing the, you know what I mean? It could literally be that. But if you're cooking up heat like LollyPopBeatz is, that's even better, dude. Answering some questions once in a while, trolling some trolls, you know? Yep. Boom.
Yep.
Love that,
no, I like Instagram lives, but obviously YouTube is different. You can, you know, cook up live, and that's definitely like on my list of things I need to try out.
And your TikTok's great too. You could do the same thing on TikTok live. I see Rob, you know, Rob TMB. Yeah. So you just did a video with him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just asked him if he wants to do the pod. He said he's down. So I gotta like set that up after too. Like he's great. How was it working with him?
Yeah, he's insane. Obviously, you never know with these people, because what you see on his videos, you're like, is this real? But he actually is insane.
I can tell it's real. Yeah, you know who that is?
No, I don't.
Bro, it's the kid it's the kid that does the speed runs, and he tries to just break world records, and he has a timer going, and he'll literally be making the Kendrick Lamar beat. Then what's the name of the song? Am I losing it right now?
Humble.
I figured it was Humble. Yeah.
So he's doing that, and he's like making it in 11 seconds. Yeah. Like 11 seconds. 11 seconds. Jeez. It's ridiculous. So I watched that video. That was awesome, by the way. So it's like to see like collabs like that, and just, I don't know, you're like a natural with this stuff, and it's just amazing to see it like happen so fast for you.
You're really good with the melodies too. I gotta say,
I wanted to get into the melodies.
Your melodies. My favorite beats always make me a little emotional when I listen to them. I'm always just like shedding tears, but also I got the strap, you know what I mean? So like, I just wanted to commend you on that. And what's sort of like your favorite type beat to make? Like not type beat, but like where's your like bread and butter? What do you love to cook up?
To be honest, the most simple beats, I get the most joy from making the most simple beats that people love, which, you know, so many people think, oh, anyone can make these beats, they're so simple, but I don't know what it is. I get the most satisfaction from making a beat with like 2 different sounds in the melody, simple drums, 2-step hi-hat patterns, and then maybe in 20 minutes or less that I've made it, and then it does well. I know you shouldn't focus on quantity and the time it takes you to make it, but that's when I listen to beats, I'm like, I don't know, the simple beats just get me. But also I'm like falling out of love with making beats a little bit, you know, when it goes in like waves, and it's more like at the moment I'm in love with the process. But there are some beats that I feel in your heart. It's more like the more complex ones, and they're a little bit emotional, because I have like a very specific sound that I always stick to, and I find it hard to kind of get out of that, which, you know, is not the best. But at the same time, if you can nail a sound and, you know, it works for you, then that, you know, that's what I've been doing. So
what can you do consistently? Put these numbers on the board. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And then all right, so right now is a good time to mention it's keyword time. We'll do it now. Get it out of the way. Keyword time. I got to think of a keyword. All right. So today's keyword is lollipop.
Hey.
Today's keyword for the FL Studio giveaway is lollipop. If you haven't heard, if you missed it, it's every single Tuesday we're doing an FL Studio Producer Edition giveaway. You got to drop that down in the comments, and I'm going to go through the comments next week for this video, and I'm going to pick a winner, and you instantly win a copy of FL Studio Producer Edition. So again, thank you, Image Line. That being said, I think I want to get into like FL. We have FL pulled up. You have it screen shared here. I guess... Can you show us one of your favorite, maybe hidden gems? Maybe it's not a hidden gem, just one of your favorite tips and tricks that maybe you can give the audience right now in FL Studio.
For sure. So yeah, I'm not the best with tips and tricks. I'm a very basic FL user, but I think if you have a bunch of melodies, my kind of favorite shortcut that I've ever learned was I should probably let's just pull up FL keys, for example. Say if we, I don't know, just had a melody there, and then say if we had another FL keys, you know, just whatever like that.
Yep.
So if you want to change the pitch or, you know, put them up an octave, whatever, down an octave, and you have loads of them, instead of individually going like up and changing them like that, I would just highlight those, whatever sounds you have, click the arrow, and then transpose. So if you wanted to go up 2 semitones, for example, you just put 2 and then it goes up. And that's probably the main comment that people put on my videos, saying, no way, I'm doing it manually and I didn't know you could just do that so simply. So that's probably my favorite kind of trick that I've learned.
That's awesome. Do you find yourself doing that a lot? Like say you create an entire, maybe an 8-bar loop or a 4-bar loop, and you have, you know, some layers on there. And then, you know, maybe something isn't hitting right. Like what makes you go from, I guess that's like a good thing to teach somebody is like, when do you feel like you need to transpose all the melodies? Like, are you just like not feeling the vibe? You want to make it darker? Maybe you go down, or is it like a conscious thing beforehand? Like I'm going to make it here and then I'm going to transpose it afterwards. Or is it like spur of the moment type of thing?
Yeah, it depends. I don't have an idea that, oh, I'm going to make this melody and then change the pitch. I think that kind of does help if you get bored of the melody, if it gets repetitive, just by changing the pitch even by 1 semitone. Sometimes it's like, sounds like a whole new melody.
Right.
So it's just like refreshing to the ear. But also I do it depending on the 808. I like to have my 808, like if the root note is like G or A, I feel like I can't ever get the 808 like hitting right.
It's very hard, yeah.
It will either be too high or too low. So I'd always shift it up to like the lowest is like B, and then anything between B and like F sharp. I think that's where I can get it.
What's your go-to
right.
root note for 808s? Like when you, so you know, you got to transpose it so that 808 just like smacks. What's your like go-to?
I think D sharp.
D
I don't know
sharp.
what it is, like D or D sharp, and then also C and C sharp. I know that's like 4 different keys, but I don't know. There's something about that I'm just like, yeah, that's where it hits the hard, especially with the spins.
Oh
Yeah,
my
the
God,
spins
the
just-
808, dude. I made a beat with that last night.
You know what's good about the spins though? The spins can slap in like a B, or you know, it can, but it sounds very low. It's very rumbly. But if you want to get those like like the harmonics that come through, D sharp is like the way to go. I think D sharp
got a good little floor to it too. Like
Yeah.
I like how the spins has enough kind of like sub bass to where like if you just put it somewhere in there and it's not like hitting like an 808 does, but it's like an extra little bounce somewhere in there. I love that. You know what I'm saying? Just got a like nice little floor to it. Do you know like much music theory stuff, or is your background in music just making beats when you started in 2018?
I started playing the piano, I think I was about 6 or 7, but I only got to grade 1. So it was like very simple. And then I decided to teach myself. If I wanted to learn a song, I just go on YouTube and then like just try it again and again until I learned it. So my music theory goes as far as that. Just knowing, I think definitely knowing the notes, you know, C sharp, D, like by looking at a keyboard, I know the notes already. So that probably helped me. Although obviously in FL, you can have them labeled. So there's a ton of producers that wouldn't know what the notes are if they're not labeled. But I think that's literally the only thing. And like knowing what major and minor is. Other from that, I don't really know. Someone could play something, I have no idea what chord that is. It took me a long time to actually know what the root note was, you know, when putting in the 808s, you know, what is this key? It took me a long time to figure out, yeah, that's definitely right. Like, you know, you can tell what the root note is. So it just shows you that, you know, I don't think you need an extensive knowledge of music theory to be successful, make beats, and tons of producers don't have a clue. And
I feel like the majority of producers, like in the, you know, that have placements, that have plaques, I feel like it's a majority of them don't know music theory. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they know how to make music, how to make really good music, and it's off of a feel, it's off of a vibe. We talked about that last week. It's just
what is interesting is that like you do pick up, like, just through, I don't know what the term would be, but just through interacting with the software, you do learn some like root note stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? That,
you just pick it up.
Exactly. It's so fantastic. That's almost like how people are learning like the new music theory is like what FL is teaching us, dude, for real.
Bro, that's why I get mad sometimes when people say like FL Studio is cheating or this method is cheating inside FL. I feel like it's these methods that somebody may call cheating has taught me so much about some basic music theory, some knowledge that I could have, that I could, you know, take along with me. Things like this have taught me. Otherwise, like, I would not have wanted to sit in front of a book or sit in front of a teacher and learn this kind of stuff, where I could just go hands-on, self-taught mostly, YouTube taught mostly, like pretty much everybody nowadays, and learn in a different way. You know, this is just a different way of learning.
And you take it for granted, like kind of knowing what a chord is. At some point, you didn't know what a chord was. You know what I'm saying? And you learn that through watching videos on YouTube. The guy be like, "Oh, this is the root note of the 808," and you're just like, "Oh, root note, boom," or chord, boom. Right. You know what I mean, it's each one teach one, brother.
Facts. Lauren, so I wanted to go over maybe like, you know, a few of your favorite placements that you've gotten over the last couple of years. Can you give us like, you know, some of your favorite, maybe that like changed your life pretty much, maybe changed your outlook on the music industry, or just like some of your favorites in general?
I'm yet to have like a life-changing placement, but the one that meant the most to me was, there's an up-and-coming artist who there's the first artist I kind of grew with, if that makes sense. Like, he's now blowing up now, and it's great to see his success, and I, you know, got to work with him before that. He got G Herbo featured on the song, and I'd made a video, I did a vlog. It was like when I started making content, and I said, I'm just manifesting G Herbo placement. And 2 days later, I made the beat that G Herbo used. So obviously, you know, I manifest stuff all the time, but I literally just said it because I could hear G Herbo on that beat. I was like, I'm just manifesting a G Herbo placement. So then, yeah, literally 2 days later, I'd made a beat that I don't know if I said the artist's name. His name's MAFTski. That's the up and coming artist. And yeah, I saw a clip of in the studio, the song being played, and I know that he'd already done a verse on it without G Herbo, but G Herbo's in the studio, and I was like messaging the people in the studio, like, did G Herbo record on the beat? And they were like, oh no, he didn't. They were just playing the song. I was like, damn, because I really thought it happened. And then I found out a couple weeks later, I got a call, and they said, oh, G Herbo did do a feature, did do a verse. And that meant the most to me, like, because G Herbo, like, I love that kind of Chicago, you know, I like the Chicago artists. So that meant the most to me. That's awesome. And I guess
so the artist that you said, what was the artist's name again that you've been building with?
MAFTski.
So with him, have you been building with him for a while? Like, how are you guys been working and building together? Because that's something that's huge, I think, is like the producer. We talked about this, the relationship between artist, producer, engineer, and, you know, all those mixtures of relationships. How did that relationship come about? How important do you think that is?
I think, yeah, that's super important. I'm trying to find an artist now to properly lock in with, because it's hard for me, obviously, being in the UK, and most of the artists, literally all the artists that I work with, are over in America. So it's not really a personal relationship. I don't really have a personal relationship with many artists, other from me sending them out beats all the time and them using it, you know, and then they, like MAFTski said, like, I'm one of his go-to producers, and we've made, you know, a lot of songs together. A lot of his hits have been with my beats. So as much as I think, oh, I'm locked in with him, you know, it's, you can't beat that in person experience and the grind and being in the studio and that really putting the vision together, because he's never said, oh, I want this kind of beat. Can you make that? I've just been sending him, you know, as
I think
often
that's
as
just
I
the
can.
way like the world's working more often now is like that. It's just faster paced. It's almost like it's pretty rare nowadays to like lock in with an artist in the studio, especially like in the industry like that. It's pretty rare.
Although you do got some fire rappers over there, I might say. Like I was listening to something today by this dude, and I favorited that shit so fast. It was so good. I love some of like I mean, like Skepta's an easy one, Gigs is an easy one to call out, but these guys are like fantastic rappers, and there's a ton of just super hungry dudes out there, and rappers of all, you know what I'm saying, artists in general just out there. So anybody that you can collab. Do you guys have like showcases or anything out there? Like, do you go to shows at all? Is that a thing?
No, I mean, obviously there's concerts, but showcases, I mean, I'm really not involved with the UK scene whatsoever. I've got one UK placement. I've been to one studio where there's, you know, a ton of artists go there. Otherwise, I've got no experience. I barely listen to UK music, but I know it's there's a lot of fire artists here.
Yeah, it's big.
And it's just not, I don't want to get into like drill. That's just not my thing. But
it's taken,
the guys who do like the melodic trap here, though, that's my kind of style. Like there's a lot of talent, but I feel like no one else really knows about it. Like you could be big in the UK and be known, but you guys over in the States will have no idea who they are, and they could be the biggest artists here. I feel like Central C is a great example of who everyone's going to know, but there's I can't name many others.
C's nice.
Oh yeah.
But
he's done insane. But I can't name that many others that are on his level that it's kind of like a global success. I think that's the hard thing with the UK. Even though we're small, we should be doing better, bigger things. I don't know.
He got that Drizzy stimulus. That's why that Drizzy stimulus package did it. Combination.
Bro. So I think I guess I wanted to go. Let's dive into FL a little bit more. So melodies that you come up with are all fire. Would you say? I guess first off, would you say the majority of them come from you creating them from scratch, or are you using other people's loops, collabing like that? Are you creating almost all your melodies from scratch, doing any sampling, or like how do those come about? I guess I'll start with that.
I'd say I make 90% of my melodies from scratch. So since I started, I didn't even know loops were a thing. So I've always, luckily, when you start with only knowing that, you have to make melodies yourself, it's not like I wanted to have a shortcut. I enjoyed the process of learning and stuff. So I enjoy just saying, oh, I made this from scratch. This is produced by me and no one else. There's nothing wrong with collaborating, and I do love collaborating. It brings new ideas. But when I do use loops, it's from like a select few producers that I know. But my process is fairly simple. I never have an idea before I start. I just go with the flow. I always start in FL keys.
I was gonna ask you that because I saw that in some videos, and I noticed that's a trend that I see. I do that all the time. I don't know if you do that, but like if I'm gonna start with a melody, I just love starting with FL keys. It's a huge trend, and everybody does it. And it seems like so many producers that I talk to start with FL keys. Sometimes you end up staying with FL keys, right? Sometimes it just kind of works, and you just leave it. So can you explain why? Because I have my reasoning why, but I want to hear your reason why you start with FL keys almost every time.
I find sound selection the hardest thing that takes the longest. So I just think piano is kind of the easiest instrument to get a melody down in some chords. I think I mostly start with chords or like an ARP or something and then layer it with chords. So I think it's just like a go-to, like you need a piano, FL keys. Sometimes, as you said, I keep the piano and then just copy that exact melody into another sound and layer it. I'm big on layering as well. But I don't know, it's just like I've heard a lot of people do it. I don't know if I started it through seeing it, from someone's video saying, oh, I just get the melody down first in FL keys, and then. But that's just my workflow. I say it in every video, and when I'm with people, I'm like, I always start in FL keys first.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the easiest sonically. Like you can hear everything, you hear the notes right, because sometimes plugins can just like trick you into hearing things in a different pitch. Things don't sound right. And then when you go and you're like, oh, so say you start on this like wacky synth in like a third party, like, I don't know, like I'm just naming something, Omnisphere, right? You create this chord progression and this melody on top, you know, it's got all the good stuff in there. And then you're like, I want to, you know, audition another sound. You audition another sound and it sounds not only completely different because you chose a different patch, but just completely different, like note wise.
Yeah.
Something's just off. Something
you have to, like,
happens.
shift it down or
Yeah,
upwards.
it's
a few
weird
tones
because
to get it to match.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because some synths will come in, I don't know, like with the polyphony is different and they have maybe a glide or a slide thing turned on and it just doesn't hit the same. So starting with FL keys, I think for that reason is just awesome because you just get straightforward, straight to the point, what it's going to sound like. And then if you want to swap it out, layer it afterwards, that's awesome.
Always.
What,
Keys are always the move.
Yeah. And I guess when so can you name maybe a couple other like stock or third party go-to plugins that you create melodies with?
I think Citrus has my heart because again, when I was starting, I didn't know you could get VSTs, and I was even using the stock FL drum packs, and I think they're better now because they're updated. And there's, you know, it is good for like house music and stuff. I don't know about trap, but I made it work, and I think that's why I've like slowly done it by experimenting with different sounds. And if I can make one kind of sound work, then, you know I can slowly get others. But Citrus, definitely I was using for probably a year straight, just only Citrus for every single beat, use probably every sound from it.
There's a lot though. There's a lot in Citrus.
There is a lot.
People sleep on it. We talked about it before.
Have you
I've
gotten
slept
into
on it.
like the nitty gritty of Citrus, like messing around with the different oscillator level, you know, layers and stuff in Citrus, or do you kind of get the one that you like?
I kind of get the one that I like. And again, when I was starting, probably at that time, I didn't know much else about sound design, which I still don't know. But the most I do is like mess around with the attack, sustain, stuff like that. But otherwise, not really anything else. I'm pretty still as I am, as if I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm very simple with, if I like that sound, I like it. I don't really need to change it, you know.
Yeah, don't overcomplicate it, you know what I mean?
Get straight to the point. You want to get, you know, like the ideas out as fast as possible. There's people that are sound designers and they want to spend that, you know, hour just creating one synth because, you know, there's producers that do that.
When I make beats, sometimes I'll just try to forget everything that I know. You know what I mean? Like it'll be an exercise of me to just be like, all right, let me do this like I'm opening FL for the first time ever. And that's how I'll make the entire beat. It'll be a 16-bar loop and I'll just be like drag and drop everything. That's the only way I'm sampling. I'll pitch things and that's it. Like serious.
8/7 time signature.
Yeah, you just gotta keep it fresh, you know. Somehow I do. Like
All right, so you got FL keys, we got Citrus. What's a third party plugin that is just like one of your favorites to go to for melodies?
Analog Lab for sure. And I've had Omnisphere for a while, but I think I just kind of abandoned it.
A lot of people have. Have you noticed that a lot of people have abandoned Omnisphere?
Yeah, I don't see, you know, when either that or when I pull up like the OG Nexus, they're like, God, I haven't used this in ages. But that's like that Nexus again is what I started all the Chief Keef beats with. I don't know
for sure
what I would have done without it.
Yeah, Nexus has that sound right there. That's those type beats is like all Nexus. You know, everybody that was making Chief Keef type beats, it's like Nexus was the go-to.
Right, with those trap crashes.
Yeah. Yep.
Your big trap crash.
You know what I used to use all the time is the Lex Luger pack, the Lex Luger trap crashes.
Talking about transposing up a few semitones, that's when you pointed that thing out, I was like, that instantly brought me back to like Lex Luger, like how he would do that in the beats to like switch up the dynamics.
There was this one Lex Luger pack, and I'm sure like you might remember like I would use that in the studio all the time. If I wanted a crash, that certain type of crash, it's just like it's like an orchestra crash with, you know, the two cymbals. And I haven't heard it in so long, and I just want to hear. It hasn't even been that long, but I want to hear it brought back already.
Oh, it'll be there.
Yeah,
there are some people going in with the who's the dude Cemetery. If you know Cemetery, he is like a goth rapper, but he makes like Chief Keef. He's on Chief Beats,
Really?
and he's just like, it's the most. To me, it's awesome, but it's some of the most unlistenable shit. It's fantastic. It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
But he's on like that Glow Gang type. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out Glow Gang, right? Right, Pop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know Cemetery at all?
I don't think so. Not by the name. Maybe I would.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not great with names, and maybe I probably would know.
He's
yeah.
he's on the come up. He's pretty niche, but he's on the come up.
Awesome.
He might be a little too niche. I don't know. It's a little weird.
Maybe.
It's a little wacky.
I'll have to check it out too. I haven't heard it. So we got, FL Keys, Citrus,
Analog
Labs. Are those like, do you find yourself going to those like pretty much in every single beat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Analog Lab I've just used too much. When you kind of get bored, I'll probably come back to it and be like, oh, I missed you and whatever. But also Electra X, there's a lot of gems in there.
I gotta get into that.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get that. I haven't gotten into that yet. I gotta.
Yeah,
I see a lot of people using it.
Especially the banks. That's mostly what I use. But again, the stock sounds in most of these things are still fire.
Mm-hmm.
And Expand, that's another one.
Expand is another big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those when you say the banks are they third-party banks? People making third-party banks, or is it from the plugin company itself, or both?
No, third party.
That's fire.
So yeah, there's especially for the Analog Labs banks, there's like a crazy producer that I've got basically all my banks from, and they're like proper talented at just making these banks and making these crazy sounds. I don't even know how they do it, but yeah, it's
you
crazy.
make your own packs, right? You've been making some packs.
I haven't got any banks or I've got just a stash drum kit. That's all I've done. I've never released anything else. I need to do like a loop kit, and I need to get into looking at how to make these sounds.
Yeah, because I heard in one of your videos you said that you were making a beat with all like your sounds that you were going to be putting out in a pack or something like that. So is that something that you've done more than once, or is that like, do you do that frequently? You make packs and stuff, put them out for people?
Not really. I've just got one stash kit. I'm working on another one, but it's not like I need to make my own sounds from scratch because, some producers, you get comments like, oh, what drums do you use? And you can get them in like most packs. Say if you get from Reddit, it's all the same kind of sounds, but it's just all in one place. It's my go-to sound. So I really want to try and make my own. And I've got this other plugin called Sublab XL where you can really kind of tailor your kicks and 808s. It's like different. So I need to get into that more. I have done a loop kit, which was like a collab with a producer group that I'm in. But other from that, I've got nothing else. I've done the bare minimum really, like just in my career, if I think about it, but it's what I've done, I like put 100% effort into, and I'm very like focusing on one thing at one time. I'm not like great at focusing on many things, but I definitely need to this year.
No, that's a big thing, is just like focusing on, what's working the best, I've been guilty of that. I still have to sometimes like stop myself from like going in a few different directions. When you see something like the new shiny object, or it's like, oh, I want to start that. I know that could do really well. I know this could do really well. But right now, what's working really well for you is the main thing, and it's already working.
Right.
And if you put that time that you split there and that time that you split there, just right back into the thing that's already working, it's gonna do 50% better.
The quote I like is "Do less better."
Yep, do less better.
Do less better. Like
That's
that.
good.
I like that.
Yep. So yeah, don't feel that pressure to do a million
Do
things.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the Spins 808 your favorite?
Yes, absolutely. No question about it. It's just I might choose another 808, and then by the end of the beat, I'm like, no, I've got to replace it. It's just nothing hits as hard.
Exactly. Oh my God, I know.
Infinite says the same thing. I say the same thing. It's just like you try to switch it up, and you're like, I gotta like switch it up. Let me experiment a little bit with some other 808s, and then you're like, man,
The whole session, you're
right.
just looking down at that Spins. You're just like,
Yeah.
and drag and drop in. Well,
Like, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Spins. Go right back to
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it works.
And I get a million comments saying all your beats sound the same, but I kind of just go off of my favorite producers that if you just use the same sounds, like it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm making the same thing, opening up the same FLP and then just tweaking one thing. It's just you find the sounds that you like. I mean, I do think I need to experiment a little bit, but everyone uses the spins. Probably your favorite songs are using the spins, and you're not complaining. You know, you're not thinking, oh, they've used the same 808 in all these songs. Like, it just use what works well.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can get any better than that.
If it's working, keep going with it. And you obviously, you know, there's probably a couple of people saying your beats sound the same. So it's like a very, very small percentage of people.
No,
saying
it's a lot.
You
on
think
TikTok.
So? On yeah. Hey, well, now we're talking TikTok. It's a different story.
But you
TikTok's
know, I mean,
just,
how many great albums have you heard? And
that's
just,
what this is what I was gonna say.
Like, you know, you hear one album, and it's almost like they made the same song like 12 times, but it's filled with hits. Like it has like 3 hits on there, and you're just like, well, I mean, they were just trying the same thing. I almost like feel like it's on purpose. Like, just show up, and people saying you have the same, your beats sound the same. It's like, well,
that's my sound.
That's my sound. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
like
my sound.
I think that's a compliment.
Yeah,
it's like you
that's
have
the
a
point.
consistent sound,
Exactly.
and it's not to say that it's unique, but it's a consistent sound. And like, for example, Lil Baby, a lot of his beats are very similar. People say, oh, he's got like the same flow in every song, but they're all hits, and people love that. And they'd complain if you switch it up. You know, people say to me, I'll try make another beat, and then when I do, they're like, oh, we want trap. Like, this isn't your usual stuff. So I just make what I like to listen to and what I like to make, and you can't
please them all. So you just gotta, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do what you like, what you feel is right for you, and stick to your sound. You're doing everything right, in my opinion. I mean, your sound will gradually change as the years go on, and you pull inspiration from different things, and your sound will grow, your sound will change and evolve. But right now, what I was gonna say is, like, things have changed so much in music to the point where, like, people are complaining that your beats sound the same, right? But when you think about it, why do they sound the same? Because you're using maybe the same couple of samples. When you think about a band that put out an album, they're using the same guitar, they're using the same bass, they're using the same drums. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, so you can essentially say that this song sounds the same. They're using all the same instruments. How can you argue that?
And thematically, you know what I mean? Like, you're just hearing like a concept like delivered through. You know what I mean? So when you hear this chapter of songs, it's like this was their approach during that period. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So just stay with your vision always.
Oh yeah.
Your vision will never steer you wrong.
If you could give us one more little gem inside of FL Studio, something maybe melody-wise when you create a melody or chord progression or something that you want to just share with the FL community, because I'm sure that everybody's itching for new gems, or just like gems that like maybe can solidify what they're doing. That happens a lot too. Something that people, that's what I like. While you're thinking of this, I just want to say this one thing. Sometimes I'll share things that I know the majority of people like are doing, and I'll know that the majority of producers are doing it. But sometimes it just solidifies to them that what they're doing is going in the right direction. Yeah, they're moving in the right direction with what they're doing. And I see that because I see that in the comments, and it'll be like, yo, I knew this, and I've been doing this for 2 years, and it just makes me happy to see that other people are doing it. Right. You know what I mean? It's just something like that. So even if it's something that you think people know,
I'd say it's not really to do with melody making, but another thing which I was like in a session with a producer yesterday, and he was like, this is going to save me so much time. Say if you have a bunch of audio clips, and you know how you have to manually put them onto stretch if you want to change the pitch or do stuff, you go into tools. Is it macros? Macros? I never know how to pronounce stuff.
Yeah, macros.
It's different. And then switch all audio clips to real-time stretching. And I think that it's like kind of like the transpose thing, but it just saves a lot of time rather than manually having to go on each audio clip. But I do want to try and give you some other melody making thing.
That stretch thing, that's for anybody listening or watching that doesn't really know, like what you're talking about. That stretch is like when you change the tempo and it automatically will stretch the samples into that tempo.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if I had like a loop.
And that's instead of going into every sample and then turning it on stretch mode inside the sampler when you double click on the sample, correct?
Yeah.
So instead of doing that for every single sample, do what Lauren just did. And that will it'll lock in every sample that you bring in, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, if you want to change the BPM, say if I've But I probably should have showed this to begin with, you know, just as example, because if I change the BPM, you know, it's going to stretch the sample. So yeah, instead of going here, stretch, you know, both of them, it's just, you do that. And then, yeah, they'll be on stretch now. So it will help maybe with recording as well, recording vocals. If you have loads of clips in there, I don't do that yet. But the guy that I showed yesterday, he's like, that's going to help me with recording, you know, when you have a bunch of audio clips. So yeah.
That's a huge time saver. I don't, for some reason, I don't turn that on, and I don't know why. I forget all about that one. I wish they had an option that you didn't have to do that on every session. You know, maybe the
preference.
Maybe there's something like in the back end with the settings, and you can just have that on all the time.
Yeah,
you know, that would be cool.
Yeah.
So I guess you know,
Josh, are you listening?
We're getting to the end. I think we can wrap it up. I think, you know, LollyPopBeatz, if you want to drop, you know, socials where people can find you on socials and maybe, you know, streaming platforms, if you want to drop, where can everybody find you?
All my socials are LollyPopBeatz, with Lollipop is with a Y instead of the I, and then Beats with a Z at the end. Yeah, same for Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure. This is awesome. We got to do it again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I feel like there's still so much more we could talk about, but, you know, we'll wrap it up for now and save it for another one.
Yeah, if you wanted to go for 5 hours, I'm cool to talk for 5 hours about FL.
I wish.
But yeah, no.
I wish we could.
I appreciate you for having me.
Of course, anytime.
All right, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right. So
take care.
Thank you. With that being said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to share this with a friend if you get me.